Consciousness is the infinite ground, which is always registering everything while remaining untouched and unbounded. That's a pretty packed sentence. I'll read it again. Consciousness is the infinite, transcendent ground, which is always registering everything while remaining untouched and unbounded. What else can we say about consciousness? We can say that everything is pervaded by consciousness, and at the same time, everything is a reflection of consciousness. Everything is pervaded by consciousness. That means our body is pervaded by consciousness. We ourselves. It is the deepest contact we can make with ourselves. Consciousness pervades our body, and it also pervades the environment too. It pervades everything. Consciousness is who we fundamentally are. And because of this, because it's our fundamental nature, we don't experience consciousness in the way that we experience external objects, such as a tree. We don't have a subject-object experience of consciousness. Consciousness experiences itself. It's self-aware. Consciousness becoming aware of itself. So again, it's a little bit difficult to figure this out with the mind because we don't experience it as a subject-object experience. Consciousness itself experiences itself. Another thing about consciousness is it's always what is awake in us. Consciousness is that which is always awake in us, and yet paradoxically, our process of becoming awake to it is a journey. We might wonder how that is. It's just because we are accustomed to living in our mind and emotions. We didn't have a template as we grew up to live any other way. And so as a result, we kind of overlooked the obvious. We didn't allow our attention to rest as consciousness itself. Now, a direct experience of consciousness doesn't have to land in us by grace. It can. We may recall times in our life when just almost out of the blue, we experience that transcendent ground of being that underlies all of creation and connects all of creation. It can happen by grace, we could say, but we don't have to wait, and we don't have to hope that if I'm lucky enough, it will happen to me. It doesn't have to be a fleeting moment, and it doesn't have to be directly experienced at random, unpredictable moments. It's our ground state, and we can invite our awareness to notice itself. It is already and always here, and we have the capacity to notice it.
It's the infinite and unbounded aspect of existence that makes experiencing possible. So, and in that making experience possible, simultaneously it remains unbounded and unaffected by that which it makes possible. So for me, awakening is about consciousness recognizing itself through the forms that it's enlivening and in creating. In order to have experience, consciousness can't have experience except through the limitations of time and space and form. In a way, consciousness is forgetting itself in order to come into having experience. So it can experience itself through our form. And then I think what happens is when our forms, our individual forms, start seeking, consciousness is having an inkling of itself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, and draws us further into the awakening process. And so it's starting, by the time seeking is kind of kicking in, remembering is starting to come forward. So it first forgets itself, and then through our form remembers itself and recognizes itself, remembers itself.
Ultimately, arriving at the unconditioned source, which, to describe that experience in meditation, I would say it's an experience of objectless awareness, pure consciousness. The medium of meditation is gone, whether it's a mantra, whether it's following our breath, whatever it was that we were working with is gone, and yet we know we're not asleep. We're awake inside, and yet there's no object of perception. There's no feeling, there's no thought, there's no sensation, there's no motion, and yet here we are. We're at source.